What these companies do right now with these cell phones and shit, I mean, they get everybody hooked.
Yeah,
it's a bunch of dope where they got all your data and shit. They know who you fuck, where you move, how you shit. How many stories out of the Bible? One of the most famous stories is what? Is Adam and Eve. What did Eve bite?
The apple?
She bit the apple. Look at the logo on your fucking phones. It's a bitten apple. So therefore, everybody biting that bitch right now. It's a cell phone for a reason. You're prisoner to the phone. You're in a cell. And right now, we're talking about, are we talking about a virus? A virus, that's what we talk about, SARS, MERS, bird, swine, Ebola, now Corona. Like, come on, folks. I mean, you gotta read the tea leaves, bro. The devil's in the details. And with that said if you look at the recovery numbers on what we're talking about, I don't know what it is, but I guess the flu went on vacation on this year. Heart attacks went on vacation this year. Everything went on vacation this year when it came to, I'm talking about, what we're going through right now.
Okay.
And let's just call a spade a spade. And the reason I can have this conversation is because my family comes from communism. They fled communism. They had everything taken away from them. Everybody got murdered. Everybody got killed. And that's the reason me, being a first-generation Cuban-American, or maybe us, being first-generation Cuban-Americans, I look at freedom and I appreciate that shit. I appreciate opportunity. I appreciate anything that you give me. All I need is a little slip, partner, and I got you. And that comes from the fact that when Castro took over everything, and I'm looking at what's going on right now, the only person here that's hot, 38 hot, is Castro. He's going, y'all did it with a virus? Shit. Y'all took over the world with a virus? Y'all gotta be kidding me. He had missiles pointed to the United States of America during the Russian Missile Crisis, during the Bay of Pigs and what they went on through. So this shit gets deep. The only thing is do you want to realize how deep it is? You know, that's the way I look at this shit. And even going into this, I don't know if y'all know about this, but might as well put it out there, especially in y'all show, because y'all got folks that need this more than anybody. We all need it. There's a rehearsal that went on before this whole shit. Is called Event201. October 18th, 2019. This shit came out. It was ran by the Johns Hopkins University, which is in cahoots with Bill Gates, Melinda Gates Foundation. And this was a complete rehearsal of what we did right now. You can look at this up.
A global stockpile would certainly help ensure more rational and strategic allocation, but the reality is that we don't have the logistics capability, even within the UN, to bring that together in one place and run it. So this is where I think a collaboration between the international organizations like the World Health Organization and the private sector, which runs these supply chains for many purposes every day, understand where the supplies are, make smart decisions about how to allocate them to the people who need them in the places that need them the most, and then work with the industry to move those supplies from where they are today to where they need to be. There's a whole complex set of issues in a highly interdependent world on supply chains that are just in time. We need to think about how much flex there is in that just-in-time supply chain system and make sure it keeps running. I think it's going to take specificity, and it's going to take knowledge that only the private sector has. The UN can play an important coordinating facilitation role, but the companies know where those commodities are, where they move, how to move them, and that's where a type of public-private collaboration that we have not generally had in these crises needs to be put together.
You look at this up. Don't listen
to me. Too, just to let them know they names is on the actual patent for coronavirus. From 2004, they up like a patent. They named names is on the actual patent for coronavirus. From 2004, they up like a patent. They named.
I think that New York is the new model for the new concentration camp, where the camp has been built by the inmates themselves, and the inmates are the guards, and they have this pride in this thing they've built. They've built their own prison, and so they exist in a state of schizophrenia, where they are both guards and prisoners, and as a result, they no longer have, having been lobotomized, the capacity to leave the prison they've made, or to even see it as a prison.
So therefore, you have a segment where it says segment financial, what we gonna do? Segment travel, what we gonna do? Segment, what we gonna do when it comes to online? And it said, if anybody is not a part of the narrative, we're gonna take it off online.
We're at a moment where the social media platforms have to step forward
and recognize the moment to assert that they're a technology platform and not a broadcaster is over. They, in fact, have to be a participant in broadcasting accurate information and partnering with the scientific and health communities to counterweight, if not flood the zone, of accurate information, because to put the genie back in the bottle of the misinformation and disinformation is nigh impossible.
One thing we haven't spoken about, and I'm wondering whether it's time to talk about this, is a step up from the part of the governments on enforcement actions against fake news.
I personally do not believe that trying to shut things down in terms of information is either practical or desirable. And we do have, I think, a couple of strategies that are available to us, one of which is the flood strategy, second of which is relying and informing and equipping trusted sources of information with the facts so they can then pass that on. But we also need to actually think about a technological answer to this.
Which to me smells like communism. Right. You feel me? And obviously that's what our families live through, and I'm sure all of our families have similar stories. After Buddy and them did that, which the main doctor that was there, his name was George Fugao. I might not remember the verse off the verse I was trying to spit, but I remember George Fugao. All right. George Fugao is the main doctor for the CDC in China and a virologist out of Wuhan. They real shit now. Wow. Right?
Listening. We here.
Now here's where I go. After all of that, happens to be about a month later, all the main CEOs in the world, partner, major companies, resign. About 1,000 and some change. So that means they pull out high. That means they take the ride high, and then they buy low. Well, everything went whoom. God knows what they did or they didn't do. But I'm talking about Disney, Hulu, Microsoft, Nike, Wells Fargo, Boeing, you name it, you look at them. And this is the part that I gotta talk to the world about, is that's the tail wagging the dog, partner. Well, y'all worried about followers and likes and who's on TikTok and Instagram. Mind you, when I was growing up, and Instagram was real simple. Here's a 20 bag, here's an Instagram. No.
Right, that's a fact.
Real shit. So I know I'm gonna give you this and you're gonna get high. Now it's like, hey, look, by the way, here's an Instagram. I want you to picture the bag, the product in it, and I promise you it's gonna get you high. Look, man, I hope everybody wake up with what we got going on, and bottom line, what it is, people so connected, they disconnected. And they take so many pictures, they miss the big picture.